of the smaller channels that I sub to that I don't necessarily remember. I no longer sub to them.
Oh, it's all right. We're slowly growing, and we are live. This is a special update because, yeah, we're launching bombs at each other right now. So I figured we get a military perspective as well as our favorite Moonhopper correspondent as well. So here I have good old MC. Say hi, MC.
Hello, everybody.
All right, and Tyro, say hello to the folks.
Greetings. I'm Tyro in Kuwait.
All right. So the matter of the moment, as I noticed, judging by a number of Discord servers that don't normally have folks in voice chats, had votes in voice chats because I think folks are very concerned about this. I know Tyro, we were speaking with Miss Moonhopper and Zell a little bit before. We've been going back and forth, and we're kind of unsure. So MC, fill us in on the details. What do we got going on? What do we know?
Okay, what we know is that Iran has launched a number of ballistic missiles from their border, their side of the border of Iraq, and they've launched them at least two bases. All right, one is a missile or is an Air Force base that's way in the west, and another one is toward the U.S. consulate in Irgral. Okay, what they've said so far is that from the U.S.'s side, they haven't seen any casualties. The U.S. is not reporting any casualties. All right, although there were a number of people initially claiming that over 80 Americans were dead and that there was blood everywhere and it was all on their hands. We don't know. At the same time, the official that said that said he can't confirm any U.S. casualties at this moment. He doesn't know of any. However, they're still investigating. So that could mean a number of different things. From a military perspective, what it tells me is most likely no U.S. military personnel were hurt or hit, but that doesn't mean that there weren't U.S. casualties. Okay, it doesn't mean that there weren't like U.S. contractors in the area that may or may not have been hit or other U.S. civilians. The reason I say that is because in the military, it's you have a standard chain of command, and in a situation like this, one of the things that you're always aware of, basically, is where your troops are. So you're going to be told, okay, count off. All right, you're going to count each one of your group. Then you're going to be told to report. You'll report how many of your troops are missing, if any are missing, or you say that all present and accounted for. If everyone comes back with an all present and accounted for, it quickly moves up the chain, where the chain then knows exactly from the military perspective what may be going on. All right. So that's why I say we don't know for sure if there's any civilian casualties or if any U.S. casualties, but most likely there's no U.S. military casualties.
Okay. Now, there had been a report, I remember Tyro, we were discussing a little bit earlier, that apparently somebody from Iran, perhaps an Iranian official or surrogate, may have actually contacted one of our generals. What do we know about that?
Well, go ahead, Tyro.
No update on that. It started primarily from Middle East journalists, which you always have to take with a grain of salt, but you know how that goes. One of the theories being perpetuated on the Middle East side is that Iran, through proxies, contacted the U.S. to tell them, "Hey, we're going to attack your bases. Here's when. Clear you guys out of the way because we're going to do this, but we're not doing it because we want to start a war. We're doing this because we want to save face. We have to look tough, quote unquote." That's what's being reported by some of the Middle Eastern sources, is that this was just a save face maneuver, because we do know from other sources that apparently in the two bases they did get a proper heads up. They got launch warnings. They sounded the alarms, and so the troops were able to take refuge in the bomb shelters. So that is one thing that if there are any casualties, it will have minimalized casualties, as they did have time to get to the bomb shelters. So that it seems to be somewhat credible at this point. The fact that they had the launch warnings, they had heads up, but we will see. I think Trump's response to this attack will tell us a lot about how plausible the whole saving face story is. Because if Trump comes out and is like really angry about this, like, oh my God, then okay, it probably wasn't. But if Trump is just like, it wasn't, it was nothing, then that makes it plausible that maybe his attack on how do you pronounce his name? Soleimani? Huh?
Soleimani.
Soleimani, thanks. Because we don't know what the effect of Soleimani's death is on the Iranian leadership. We just don't. We don't know if that scared them or whether that made them, go really crazy, because they have to put on a crazy face. Their public face is not their real face, because they have an army of radicals. They have to play to their base. They have to look strong, etc. But it could just be like with Kim Jong Un, where they could be like, "Oh my God, Trump will actually kill us if we keep doing this. Maybe we should reconsider." It could be. It's always been an X factor of how crazy, how actually religiously extreme Iranians' leadership is. Like, how willing to die for their cause are the Iranian leaders, versus how much of it is just talk to keep themselves in power, and it's just a form of political gamesmanship. Because I've never really known where they fall, and this is a test of that, I think.
So that kind of also sound like a lot of people that LARP on the internet, except this is real life.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's a common political tactic to say, "Oh, we'll fight to the death, blah blah blah," and do that publicly. Well, in private, you're like, "Yeah, no, I don't actually want to die. I'm just doing that because it gets me
Wait
power."
a second. Are you saying that some folks would almost play up an act and kind of overpromise and underdeliver? I mean, that would never happen.
Exactly.
I think this is wishful thinking on your part. Okay.
All right.
From the reports that I've heard, the type of weapon systems that they utilized, they're thinking that some of them are laser guided weapon systems that were supposed to home in on ground laser sighted systems. Right. So if that's the case, now, and I'm not totally discounting your comments. All right. Understand this. But if that's the case, then what they've done is made things worse for themselves, because they just showed how ineffectual their equipment actually is.
True.
Well,
all right.
We also get warned potentially through,
there are other means that we would utilize to know when an attack is coming, to warn people that an attack would be coming without a warning from an Iranian general. It also could be an Iranian general that's defecting. Okay. This could be a number of different things. We don't know, what some of this stuff is, but our surveillance capability of these areas where they launched the attacks from, we would have been watching these areas repeatedly, with a number of different assets. All right, some of them, electronic assets. And so it's very possible that when they fired the missiles, we stood up there and gave out the warnings, because it's going to take 15, 20 minutes for them to arrive to say, okay, they're on their way.
True. That is a completely plausible alternative formulation. Right now, we know so little that all we can do is kind of theorize. As I said, the one plausibility is that this was save face on their part. They didn't really mean it. That the reason it had so much failure is because they used outdated tech to just kind of like throw it out there and be like, "Look, we made an attack, go us." But the other one could also be, they actually meant this as an attack, that their missiles just suck that badly, or alternatively, that our anti-ballistic missile defense systems are that good. Because let's be fair, they threw, I think, 5 missiles at Abril. One of them actually hit the base, I think they said. Because 4 of them failed. And then they struck 10 things in Assad, but the damage they did was not all that great from reports on the ground. We have some Iraqi casualties, apparently confirmed by Iraqi officials. That's about it right now. And they were claiming they fired like 60-plus missiles, but that's probably exaggerated.
Well, to hit the airbase, the Assad airbase, is going to be extraordinarily difficult, because unlike many other areas, like in the United States, generally you have a military base. There's going to be some city nearby or some town nearby that services that base. Where they built this air base in Iraq, though, is in the middle of nowhere. They literally built that air base in the middle of the desert. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, and there's several reasons for that. Not the least of which is you can monitor the area around you a lot more. All right, when it's just desert. If somebody starts walking up to the base, you've got pretty much a wide notice as long as you're paying attention.
Yeah, right? You can see it.
Now the consulate in Ibril, however they pronounce it, that's a little bit different because that at least is right, in a populated center. So it'll be interesting to see what actually happened with this. But if Iran has thrown missiles in there, all right, and that have been this ineffective where they didn't even hurt or hit any Americans, they're going to look like fools.
Yeah,
to the rest of the Middle East. This isn't going to be the face-saving mechanism that if you're saying they're doing it from a face-saving standpoint, it's not going to succeed at that.
Is this a method of? Oh, go on.
Will their citizens know that it was ineffectual though? Because they have control of the media in their own state. If they were just doing it for their own state, they could just say, yes, we slaughtered, because we already see like tweets going around of like, 20 American citizens killed, 80 killed. So we already know that the Iranian propaganda machines at work saying, we killed all these guys. So, I mean, that could be the trick. They could do nothing, but then claim they did something.
Yeah, it's a possibility, but how long does that lie? Is that lie going to last? I mean, they're going to have difficulty keeping that face, all right, especially with their other proxies in the area. As much as you may be saying, okay, how they're going to take care of their own population, and that is a concern. I'm not going to deny that. But they've also got to consider how they're looking to the rest of the freaking world, and if they look this inept as it appears so far to be. All right, they're going to be a laughing stock, and the all throughout the region they're going to be laughed at. I mean, one of the things that they were pushing is they were working with Hamas, all right, on upgrading. There was a report about 6-7 months ago that Iran was working with Hamas, all right, to upgrade the Katyusha rockets with certain laser guided technology systems. If they fired laser-guided technology at a U.S. base and hit nothing, how's that going to look to them?
Could it not be said that all of a sudden, if they hit certain U.S. forces there, and this is a retaliation, and even if there are no confirmed U.S. casualties, there have been Iraqi casualties according to the initial reports that we're hearing. My thing is, if this is viewed as a strike back, is this a way for President Trump to potentially exit and pitch himself as a non-war candidate? Or I tend to be of the mind, whether I like to admit it or not, that President Trump is drawing a side in the stand.
You got that wish hand out there, don't you, memes?
Wishing sacrifices experiences is something from 3.5 that, whether we like it or not, happens. Okay, so now that I've nerded out the entire D&D crowd out there, no, but seriously, what do you think the next response is going to be? Because what actually really concerned me is the sheer fact that the president is not addressing the nation tonight. Because President Trump has highlighted that he specifically said he doesn't want his generals out there giving press conferences. He wants his generals out there kicking ass. That is something I can respect. But this tends to lead me to believe that we're going to see overnight actions in the next 48 hours will likely dictate where this may be going. Go on, MC.
If we're going to actually go in an attack, all right, if we're going to go do a full-on attack, here's what you will begin to see. The first strikes that we will do will be against the air defense capability of Iran. You'll see us start blowing up air defense installations in the area. That will be strike one. All right. Once they've blown open a hole, the next strike that you will see will be their underground nuclear facilities. We will try to take them out. It will be a concerted effort. That will be number two. Along with number two, depending upon how successful and how quickly we reduce their air defenses, the next an additional attack, follow-on attacks will be trying to wipe out the Revolutionary Guard. So wherever there's a main collection or concentration of Iranian guards or Revolutionary Guards, those are going to get destroyed. They'll take out the barracks. They'll take out the entire base if they have to try and wipe out the Revolutionary Guard. Now, Iran, the Iranian leadership, understand this about the Revolutionary Guard. The Revolutionary Guard does not answer to the Iraqi or the Iranian government. The Revolutionary Guard only answers to the mullahs, to the ayatollahs.
That's the radicals.
Okay. So wiping them out and wiping out the power of the mullahs could literally kick off a civil war within Iraq or Iran.
That would be a good scenario, I think, because if they have a civil war, that prevents a land war on our part.
Right. We don't need the one thing we don't need to do is and I think that Trump is really adverse to this. He doesn't want a land war. Right. Yeah. But we don't need a land war to take Iran out. We can just bomb them back into the Stone Age.
Well, this is something that I've heard a number of times, MC, and I believe you had mentioned the other day we had moved a carrier into the region or maybe into this theater of potential combat, as well as I've seen reports or people at least alleging that a lot of B-52s had been hit in the skies.
Well, okay. I haven't heard anything. There are people watching Diego Garcia. Okay, we do have a number of B-52 stationed in Diego Garcia, but we also have.
I have no idea where that is.
Diego Garcia is an island in the Pacific.
Okay.
Okay. We also have a number of B-52s actually in the United Arab Emirates. Okay, but we will not send B-52s unless we have suppressed their air defense systems.
Right.
We will not go in with B-52s. We will not risk those pilots because the B-52, for all intents and purposes, is a very slow-moving system. Okay.
Right.
So now people talk about, well, what about handheld rockets like Stingers and Red Eyes and things like that? Well, B-52 flies above the ceiling with that those will even be effective. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not that the handheld weapon systems are not much of a concern. The surface-to-air missile systems, the S-300s, and they have a lot of S-300 systems, those are a concern. And they're also mobile. So taking them out, you might want to take out one or two, but it could be a longer drawn-out process. But if you see us starting to take out on a consistent effort, okay, the Pentagon has ordered 6 B-52s to deploy 2 to Diego Garcia. That's they're just plussing them up. That doesn't mean that they're deploying from there yet.
This is still the movement and logistics of different systems. So,
right, but this was they were moving these things a while ago. All right, we'll have to wait and see. Now they were saying there was a number of people that said that we have B-1 bombers in the area. I don't know why we would have any B-1 bombers anywhere in the theater, and the reason for that is B-1 bombers are shit. Okay, I'm gonna be real blunt with everybody. Yeah, it's a fast flying bomber. It's meant to fly at low levels at Mach 2. All right, it's hard to hit, but it's also hard to keep in the air. It has all sorts of problems. All right, with that swept wing configuration where it's got the movable wings and everything. So I really don't think I thought we had deactivated all our B-1 bombers when the B-2s came online.
It kind of sounds like a running back in the NFL. It's like it's going to go in there, it's going to do what it needs to do, but if it gets hit, then yeah, you're running that. It's not even that
it gets hit. The thing is more of a threat, just getting it in the air.
Well, that sounds like an engineering debacle or whatnot. Okay, so we have B-1s, we have B-52s, we have B-2s. All I know is I'm seeing a lot of movement. I'm seeing a lot of reports. We're at least getting to the position of, I think, like you said, we could see a large-scale air conflict as far as we are concerned.
We have the forces in the area, but it doesn't appear to me as if they've actually started the retaliation with the assets yet.
Right.
So I would say at this point in time, we haven't responded, and Trump may not respond. All right, if there are no U.S. casualties. Now, if he has no U.S. casualties, what is Trump going to do? Let's be perfectly honest. Do you think he's not going to say something on Twitter, or do you think the next words are going to be "Wah!" and about 4 or 5 of those tweets?
No, he has tweeted. I don't know if you saw his tweet about the airstrike. He did. Here, Here, I'll read you the tweet. So his tweet about this is, all is well. Missiles launched from Iran at 2 military bases located in Iraq. Assessment of casualties and damage taking place now. So far, so good. We have the most powerful and well-equipped military anywhere in the world by far. I'll be making a statement tomorrow morning.
Right. Okay.
So that's not anger. He is not responding with we're gonna murder them all. That's of ha ha ha, you little dipshits. You thought you could actually hurt us.
He also said that he is going to go to Congress tomorrow and talk to Congress.
Oh, well, hey, maybe he's going to actually do something constitutional for once and ask for a declaration of war.
What?
Well, he'd be one of the few presidents to ever actually do that, unlike Bush and Obama and Clinton and.
Well, whether you like it or not, there's nothing in the Constitution that says how you have to declare a war.
The Congress has that power, though. It doesn't say that Congress is the only one to declare war.
It doesn't say, though, what verbiage Congress has to use. If Congress uses verbiage saying the use of force is authorized, that's a declaration of war.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's what I think Bush and Obama
a fancy way
argued.
of saying we're going to blow a lot of things up and we don't want to look bad.
Now, I would hope that he does not ask for a declaration of war against Iran.
Me too.
All right, only because if you ask for a declaration of war from Iran, then what you're doing then is you're saying, okay, we're going to move in ground troops.
Yeah, I'm not okay with that.
I don't think we need to move in ground troops. I don't see a reason to move in ground troops. As far as bombing them from the air, I have no problem. Bomb them frickin' out of existence.
Yeah. Well, no, MC, this is actually something that we speculated about yesterday. Matt brings up that wasn't there a 5.1 earthquake right around one of the Iranian nuclear facilities, kind of on the outskirts on the southwest? Could that potentially have been a non-natural caused earthquake?
Could it? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we did have reports. I'll also say now when I say we had reports, understand most of what I say is unverified. So grain of salt. I mean, we had reports about them bombing the Taji base. It turns out that was completely false. They just had a missile attack drill. They were not attacked at all.
The thing is, though, if we hit a base if it was 2 hours ago, okay, then it's unlikely that we did it, and here's why. All right, there are just a few platforms that can drop that big freaking deep bunker busting bomb. Okay, and there's only one that is, for all intents and purposes, stealth, and that's the B-2 bomber. In order for a B-2 bomber to get there, it's not going to get there in 2 hours. It's just not. All right, they are not flying. They fly B-2 bombers from the States. We don't have any stationed overseas.
Hold on. But what if he put them in the air after killing Soleimani? As a hey, we should get this in the air because we might have to blow stuff up.
If you have them doing missions in and missions out and missions in and missions out, can you do something like that? Theoretically, it's possible, but the wear and tear on those airframes, it wouldn't necessarily be worth the cost. I don't see us actually doing that.
Tyro, Are you insinuating this may have been an act of the Space Force?
The Space Force!
Because if we had something in just above the orbit, it's like, you just give it a little tap, and apparently a rock can be used to devastate people, according to some people on the internet.
Well, hey, maybe he fired a crowbar at him from space. That would do it.
Throwing a rock from space would add a different dimension to things, now wouldn't it?
No, not a rock, a crowbar.
MC, how dare you?
You throw hardened metal rods. I mean, that actually works. But anyway, the report I was mentioning earlier. So we did have a report of a F-35s, U.S. F-35s being flown out of the United Arab Emirates base towards Iran. So it is possible that the counterattack has already started. If there is a counterattack, I think it's pretty sure that if there is a counterattack, we're not going to hear about it on the news until after it's done. Because I remember from one of my veteran friends in the Navy, we were in Iraq. The Iraqi war was going for a week or two before any journalist reported on it. That's the lag time between when we hear about something and when it happens. So
Well,
if we are in Iran right now blowing stuff up, that's not going to be on the news right now.
Well, but you'll also hear other reports. All right, not the least of which is because we will launch missiles. We will launch missiles from our subs and from our destroyers that are in the Gulf.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea that we wouldn't use these platforms is a bit of a misnomer. All right. But there's a number of things that could be happening but if we had already launched the attack, to be honest, I would have expected Trump to say that he was going to be coming. He would be speaking tonight.
I see. So you think the fact he's putting it off, you think means he's probably not going to do anything, right?
Well,
away.
I think that when they first heard about the missiles coming in, he probably ordered them in the air and in preparation. All right, but as the news came back that nobody was hurt, he may have said, "Okay, hold off."
It's also
something he's done before. I'm sorry.
The president does kind of seem like a bit of a tit to tat. It's like, all right, if you're taking our guys, whereas, okay, what was lost? Yes, as long as there were no Americans lost in there, that could be viewed as defending American interest. I mean, you could say that those Iraqi individuals who are around there as well may be an American interest, but I really don't know. I think the next 48 hours is going to be telling. What do you fellas think?
I think we'll know in the morning.
Yeah, I think come the morning, Trump's response will tell us a lot about the tone of this. As I said, I like the theory that they're actually scared and this is them just trying to save faces up. But at the same time, I do acknowledge your assessment, MC, that that's probably too pie in the sky. More realistically, this was an honest attempt by them to actually hurt us. And now they've just run into how completely and utterly ineffectual their technology is and how they've got no chance. And I think this confirmed that they have no chance. So hopefully, if they weren't scared before, maybe they are scared now. That would be nice. Maybe now they're like, oh crap, we just launched our best missiles and did nothing. We're fucked.
Well, to come out and say that they used overwhelming force and you come back not hitting any Americans.
Yes. It's great. I mean, you couldn't write a script this
good. No, but we've
movie.
had scripts like this. We did the same thing with Syria. It's like all of a sudden, it's like, well, we launched $100 million in cruise missiles. It's like, yes, Russian commandant. Yeah, you got about 25 minutes to get your fellas out of there because you got the incoming.
That's a bit different, though.
Okay.
All right, you got to remember the different level of respect. We have a different level of respect for the Russians versus what we have for any other nation. If you really want to know the truth, and that includes China.
Yeah, so Russia could, in theory, still kill us all. I mean, I think they still have the nukes to wipe all life from the planet.
They have a lot of nuclear weapons. They have now tested their super hypersonic missile. Which that
Did
thing
you say super hypersonic?
Yeah, I said super hypersonic because they're using a nuclear engine.
So if it's super hypersonic, does that mean it has the Chaos Emeralds? Sorry, that was terrible.
It has a nuclear engine in it. It theoretically could hit anywhere in the world, they say, and it uses a fission reactor to power it.
You told me about this before. I thought this was something that they tried in like the 70s or 80s that failed miserably.
No, that was the plane.
So it's a nuclear bomb powered by explosions.
It's a nuclear. No, it's an atomic. It's an ICBM powered by a fission reactor.
Right.
It's Tony Stark, except a bomb.
That's okay. That's pretty cool. I hope we have that.
Why would you want something like that?
You remember the Spruce Goose?
The reason the Russians say they need something like that is to counteract our anti-ballistic missile systems.
Yeah.
So in order for MAD to continue in their lives, they need to have a counter to be able to hit us. They are deathly afraid that if they fired a first a strike against the United States, that the United States would defeat their missiles before they hit the United States. The reality is while our anti-ballistic missile systems, we have some, the effectiveness of these things, they're not 100%. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even the Iron Dome in Israel, it's only upwards of, I think, like a 90 or 3 standard deviation rate or something.
Well, yeah, now, that's why. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Now, could the failure rate of the Iranian missiles, now, on one hand, we could attribute it to their missiles suck. On the other hand, it could be because they wanted to miss by throwing bad tech. Could the third option be because could we have anti-missile shield tech in Iraq, but they're not going to talk about it because it could be something.
There are a number of defense systems that we have not, we don't talk about it. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so it could be that.
We do have anti-ballistic missile systems. All right, that we have talked about things. The Patriot batteries do exist. All right, and they have successors to the Patriot batteries, which we've deployed in the region. That's one type of technology. We have other types as well. All right, not the least of which is we have a way of spoofing in incoming systems.
Oh, so the system that shall not be named. All right, moving on.
Oh, we did have a question in the chat about Scuds, and my comment there is, if I remember right, the Scuds were actually surprisingly effective against our anti-missile tech because they're so stupid and so rudimentary that they basically are unpredictably inaccurate. It's like, so you think the missile's going to go one way and it goes another, and because of that, it's actually hard to counter them because they could end up anywhere.
The Scuds they were hard to counter a lot initially back in the if you go back to the Desert Storm days, all right, mainly because half of them broke up on the way. So they would literally fly apart as they were coming in, and you didn't know if the pieces coming down were still working or whether or not the warhead still was there.
Wait, so it wasn't actually named Scud because of that? It was named just because it fell apart?
No, they were called Scuds long before that.
Yeah.
But that was those were the ones that were used. Those are, once again, the thing to remember that I think a lot of people need to remember this is, those were the Russian-made missile systems. But Russia, just like we do, whenever we sell a quote-unquote ally one of our weapon systems, we don't give them the top-of-the-line shit.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course you sell your old used stuff. It's like a garage sale.
It's not just that, you sell them the old used stuff. A lot of times you'll sell them stuff that doesn't have even though the technical.
Are they launching a rocket from the back of a truck?
Yeah, well, that's how they do it. Mobile Scud launchers.
Yeah, that's what the Scud launchers look like. I mean, that's from the first Gulf War. I remember seeing them when they covered those things live.
Yeah,
I've never seen this. Well, maybe I have in a quick snippet or something.
Now you got to remember the Iraqis during the first Gulf War. The Iraqis fired close to 2,000 of those things.
Yeah, most of them at Israel, right?
Yeah, they were aiming at Israel, and they also sent a few at Riyadh.
Yeah,
they did get lucky actually and hit a U.S. base.
Whoa!
Here's a question, MP.
Cool.
What do you think the odds are that Iran will attack Israel? Iran will try to get Israel involved in this.
You're bleeding through a little, Tyro. Sorry.
The problem with Iran doing that is Iran doesn't have a common border with Israel. All right. I'm
wearing a headset, Toy.
The problem with Iran trying to get Israel to react to this is where would they go from? They would have to try and do it through their Hezbollah proxies and their Hamas proxies in Palestine, right? How effective is that going to be in coalescing the rest of the Arab world against the Israelis? It didn't work for Saddam Hussein. I don't see it working for Iran. And at this point in time, I don't see Iran even attempting to do that. Even worse is when Saddam Hussein tried it during Desert Storm, Hafez Assad was still in power. All right. So you had for all intents and purposes, a stable, more or less, Syria. All right. So you had a deathly enemy on the border of Israel that could have been used as a counterbalance if they would have attacked. And did it bring them in? No. Did it bring in the Egyptians? No. Did it even bring in any of the Lebanese? No. What you got was a bunch of Palestinians dancing in the street until a couple of Scuds landed in the Palestinian areas, and then they stopped dancing in the street.
So does it come down to who really has pissed us off the most and the least?
As far as what?
Everything. No, because this is the thing. Because even like with Russia, even if they happen to be a strategic ally of Iran, it's like you still said that we had a certain level of respect for the Russians. That's why when we launched, we knew that there were likely Russian assets within the Syrian airbase. We gave them a heads up. In this particular respect, apparently some of our forces were notified allegedly by Iranian surrogates. So it does sound like there are some folks over there that are either trying to de-escalate it or minimize the conflict. So, I mean, is that not a good thing?
I think that's wishful thinking.
Oh, I think it is wishful thinking, but that's all I got right now.
All right. Could there have been Iranian assets trying to warn us that this is coming? All right. Iran is not as stable as everyone wants it. As obviously the mullahs want it to be. All right. We do know that as a fact. I mean, obvious. The riots where the Quds Force basically just opened fire on protesters. Okay, to put down the continuing riots that were going on, should demonstrates that, and that obviously wasn't that long ago. So could we have a defector? Yeah, but then again, to say that a defector in this case stopped anything, I don't see it. I don't see that being very effective, to be honest. All right. Could they have done it? Yes, but I really think that more than likely it had more to do with other Intel assets that we were utilizing, other Intel platforms.
Well, right now, as far as I can see, it looks like a lot of air traffic is being diverted. Apparently, Singapore Airlines diverts flights from Iranian airspace. I know that earlier the FAA had given warnings and stuff. I mean that's to be expected. What do we think? Are we seeing that folks, even these different companies, are ready for potential either a no-fly zone or strategic operations?
Well, like I said, if
I didn't really ask a question, I just kind of threw a bunch of words out there.
If we were going to attack tonight, honestly, I think that Trump would have come on television and announced it. Right. The fact that he didn't means that we're probably not getting ready for a strike. If we do a strike, it'll be very, very limited. Like I said, I'll be surprised. Now, the thing is, though, if Iran feels too embarrassed by this, and I think this is a highly, highly possible, if let's say Tyro is right, let's say that you're right, and that they were doing it as a face-saving measure, to be this inept is going to backfire on them, and they will become the laughing stock of the region. It will force them to try and do something else again to at least prove that they're viable. All right, that's what you're looking at right now. So even if the United States, and of course that would make it even worse for them, because it would look like Trump said, "Okay, well you didn't hit anything, so I'm just sitting around waiting," and then you attack us again.
That's why I literally titled the thing. And again, it was my opinion. We are at war because
they are at war with us.
Well, you did say this a week ago.
War on them or not? There has to be an understanding for people to understand. Iran is at war with the United States. Period. They have been since '70s. They haven't stopped trying to kill Americans. They haven't stopped trying to foist problems in the region, all right, through their proxies. They've continued to try and capture Americans and kill them. And yes, I agree with you, Mitch. Any strike that we do will be multi-tiered because it will not just be a pinpoint thing unless what Trump orders is a strike at their nuclear sites, their nuclear weapons plants. If we do that, then it'll still be a multi-tiered attack because, like I said, they got to blow open holes in their air defense. All right, before they hit.
MC, the last time allegedly U.S. and Israeli forces basically set back the Iranian nuclear program, how long ago was that? Was that 2010, 2013? Allegedly?
Well, which way?
How about the cyber one?
The Stuxnet worm?
That sounds right.
Yeah. Where the New York Times couldn't wait to sit up there and tell them that we were the ones that put it out there.
How many years ago did that allegedly maybe happen in Minecraft?
That was in I think it was in the 2000s, like around 2008, 2009.
Okay, so it's been about 10 years because I remember them saying that threw their program back by about 10 years.
Well, yeah.
So if it's been about 10 years?
Well, they've created a lot more centrifuges. They've taken their centrifuges offline. They've executed a number of their scientists who they believe actually brought the Stuxnet worm onto the computers. So are they trying to push up the nuclear part of their program? Yes. Now, there are several things about the nuclear program that most people don't know about. All right, and that is, okay, there's when they talk about enriched uranium fuel, okay, what you're trying to do with the enriched uranium fuel is you're trying to increase the number of neutron flow within the reactor, and the purpose of that is to the more neutron flow that you have, the more chances you have for the creation of plutonium and the kind of plutonium that you want. All right. So the more enriched the reactor is, the more plutonium you get out of it. Okay. Plutonium is going to will be the trigger that they want.
Is that where they do the heavy water and stuff to try to help like maximize that neutron density? Or
the heavy water does help create the what it does is it slows neutron flow. It's part of the neutron flow techniques that they use, because a fast neutron will just cause fission. A slow neutron, it will more likely be captured. All right. So, and which will cause a different type of, and different type of instability and so forth.
Okay. So as now we're all very confused, what do we think we're going to see? What are our speculation that President Trump's going to announce in the morning?
At this point in time, I think he's going to announce that we were attacked and that no American assets were harmed, and we're thinking of an appropriate response.
So you think we're going to have the whole, I don't want war, nobody wants war is terrible and everything like that, and we're here, but we're ready if you basically push the envelope?
I think that's probably what he will say. The question then is going to be, what do the frickin' the Congress do? What does Nancy Pelosi in Congress? Because she was being pretty belligerent earlier in the day.
I thought she wanted to censure it. Or I thought they wanted to basically do that war powers resolution, because I was starting a video on that, and all of a sudden I'm seeing all these confirmations. Tom P sending me a video. I'm like, oh, this doesn't look good. So, but what they were trying to do is, at least the way it was awarded, similar to Mr. Tim Kaine's proposal, was that they want to limit the president's ability to respond.
That's exactly right. But if they attempt to do that, it's going to make them look like idiots right now.
Oh yeah.
All right. The other thing about that is the War Powers Act, as it currently stands, is non-enforceable because it's unconstitutional. And while you were correct when you were talking about it, you left out some important incidents. All right.
Continue, sir. That's why you're here.
For example, in the 80s, Reagan placed a number of troops in Lebanon. And by the war powers rule, after 30 days, he was supposed to ask Congress, all right, to let them stay there. Well, after 30 days, Congress said, no, you're supposed to ask us. And he said, not only am I not going to ask you, they're staying there. And Congress was like, well, we'll take it to court. He goes, I'll see you in court. And they never took it to court.
I thought it was in 73, wasn't there a Supreme Court decision that affirmed what
we're not talking 73. We're talking, this is in the 80s, dude. This is Reagan.
Oh.
73 is when they passed the War Powers Resolution.
Okay, no, I was thinking Nixon. Never mind.
And Nixon never actually challenged it, mainly because he knew he already had what he wanted. We were already pulling out of Vietnam in 73. In fact, we finished our pullout of Vietnam in 73, and then we basically betrayed the South Vietnamese because Congress refused to actually live up to the treaty commitments. But that's a separate issue.
Okay, so MC, finish hammering me with what you got, because I think I have some good news.
Okay. The thing is that the War Powers Act, as the currently constituted, is that the United States, all right, or that the president is the commander in chief. Yes, Congress has levers, all right, that they can react with, but as far as saying where troops can and can't go, they have no authority to do that. All right, and it's been when Congress has actually tried to do this several times in the courts have been very specific. You have the ability in Congress, however, to remove funding. Okay, they can order all funds being utilized for any troops that are in these situations to be withdrawn. Congress could do that. Now, granted, it would have to go through and pass with enough. That's going
to be veto proof. Yeah,
it's going to have to go through a veto, obviously. All right, but a president isn't. Let's be honest. A president isn't going to really challenge that so much if he doesn't have the Congress on his side to at least one cameral of the Congress on his side. Since he has the Senate in this case, all right, there's no chance that anything passed in the House, if he really doesn't want it, is going to get past the Senate at this point.
So what do we think is going to happen? Because I was just showing a little tweet that I believe Ian Bremmer and was responded to by a Mr. Scott Adams, saying that maybe this is the best time we have of diplomacy. Maybe we actually have each other's attentions. We can actually hammer stuff out. What do we think could happen on that? Tyro, you go first, and then MC.
Sorry, can you restate the question?
Okay. Do you think that we actually have a chance of diplomacy with Iran?
I want to say yes. Because deep down, I think that a lot of the saber rattling that they do is mostly for public consumption and for the people at home. I think the Obama deal that we saw, where they took something like 150 billion or something like that in money, does show that they like money as much as anybody, and they'll work with the great Satan, quote unquote, if it's profitable, as it was in that case. I mean, Obama handed them Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, 150 billion, and it was like, go get your nukes, and they were like, cool, thanks, man. And I mean, and Obama's supposed to be the bad guy. He's the president of the U.S., so they are clearly not as ideologically pure as they present themselves. So I think if you put the fear of God into them, which is going to take a lot, because they've had 40 years of arrogance, about 40 years where they've thought that they can get away with whatever they want, and Obama made it way worse with all his stuff. So I think if Trump keeps slapping them like a petulant child over and over again, not declaring war, but just being like, okay, you did something stupid, boom, all right, you attack our embassy. The guy who did it is dead now. Your second in command, he's dead. What are you going to do about it? Oh, you're going to retaliate some other way. All right, slap. What are you going to do now? Oh, you're going to retaliate again? Okay, slap. You just keep slapping them until they realize that there is nothing they can do. They have no power, that we're done putting up with their shit. And I think once they realize the only path they have forward to continued existence is to sit down at the negotiating table for real this time, and not with like $150 billion rider like they got last time, I think that will lead to diplomacy. I think some headway can be made, or alternatively, we just weaken them to the point where their own people eat them alive, and you see the Ayatollah torn apart in the street.
Okay, that's a scenario. MC, your thoughts?
There's no chance of diplomacy with Iran.
Okay.
All right, you can wish in one hand and shit in the other, and you're going to get shit. Okay, when it comes to Iran, Iran has no intention of actually negotiating in any kind of good faith. All right, even the Iranian deal the deal that they signed, the nuclear deal that they signed, they were already cheating with it. All right, which was proven when the weapons inspectors found uranium in an area that there was no reason for the uranium to be, but it was also where the Israelis said, these people are storing uranium here. We have proof.
I thought you said they never signed that deal, or there was
no
signature.
We're talking about the 2015 deal.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, but remember, the point of that deal wasn't to actually stop them from developing uranium. The reason the Iranians
there were areas that they weren't supposed to be doing it at. There was only supposed to be certain centrifuges that were supposed to be used, that were supposedly the ones that they were allowing to be monitored.
Okay, so there was a violation of the agreement as well.
It was a major violation of the agreement.
Okay. No, MC, continue your thought.
All right, so they had no intention of living up to the agreement, and they still didn't have any intention of living up to the agreement. Furthermore, one of the things that Tyro, he said 150 million, it was 150 billion, but that's not the big thing. The big thing was okay, that's all well and good, but what else happened at that time? The Iranians captured 10 of our soldiers, 2 of which were women that were freaking sexually harassed. All right, possibly, we don't know if a full rape took place, but we do know that they were brutalized. All right, and they were held until that pallet of money actually landed. So the Iranians are not. They're at some point in time that you're going to have to come to the understanding that they're not going to live up to anything that they say is not worth the paper it's printed on. And they have a culture where lying to the big Satan is okay. It's fully justifiable in their realm. And the other thing to remember is the Revolutionary Guard. Now, Tyro is right in the fact that by killing Soleimani, now I'm having trouble saying his freaking stupid name. Yeah. Soleimani. All right.
Sogaleo. Let's call him
Soleimani.
Soleimani, Mani, that's how you say it.
The Iranian general.
Killing him did put the fear of God in them, because the person he doesn't respond to the Iranian people. He's not part of the Iranian government. He's part of the power of the Ayatollahs, of the mullahs. All right, the clerics that run the country. So yeah, it can put the fear of God in them. However,
no, Kaz. No executing Order 66. Don't even give him that idea. I should stop deplatforming. Okay. No, continue, MC.
You've already heard what my solution is to this issue.
But yes, and we're getting closer and closer to that. We're building a base on the moon.
All right.
Right.
Well, I don't want to build a base on the moon necessarily. I just want to do some freaking asteroid mining, but that's a separate issue.
Continue.
All right. The idea that you anything that the Iranians say, all right, that you can have diplomacy with a duplicitous group like this, that it means anything, it's just silly. What are they going to say? What are they going to say? Especially if they are as inept as they were, as it appears that they were with this attack. Let's be honest, this attack is laughable. We have fired overwhelming dozens of missiles, and we hit the sand.
Yeah, I know.
Hippies rise up. Let's go, flower children. Let's give a Care Bear stare.
How about we bring in Linebacker 2?
I don't know what that is, but that sounds scary.
Tyro, tell them what Linebacker 2 is.
I actually don't know that one.
Linebacker 2 was the strike that Nixon ordered when the North Vietnamese walked away from the peace treaty.
You're talking about nuclear warfare.
It wasn't nuclear.
It was just
he just brought in waves of B-52s.
So like B-52s that are moving around, right? Yes, MC. If I'm going to be a skeptical person, I may like wishing washing and rainbows and unicorns and stuff like that. But here's the thing. I play out both scenarios to the extremes. I look down it. This is why I'm like, maybe we should try to avoid that, because I can see what... Yeah.
What do you mean try to avoid it? What do you think we've been doing?
What do we think is going to be the ultimate conclusion of this? If there is any strike, do we think we're going to be in a
at this point in time, there won't be
prolonged combat, and are we going to see the destruction of Iranian nuclear facilities?
Eventually, yeah. Will we see it tomorrow? No. Will we see it in the next week or so? Probably not. Mainly because the Iranians at this point have to figure out, okay, we've got to do something more effective. They've got to plot this out, all right, to try and do something. They're not going to want to do something ineffectual again. Okay, so they're probably going to sit up there and take probably attack some ships in the Gulf, most likely. All right, because that at least they had some success with. Okay, so that's the most likely scenario of where they're going to go. Are they going to do it tomorrow? Probably not. Are they going to do it within a week or so? Probably within 2 weeks they're going to do it. But there will not be any significant action for another probably week and a half. All right, unless Iran has just like, okay, we're just going to keep firing missiles until we hit something. That's a possibility, but I don't think it's a very likely one.
Not a wise choice either, I don't reckon.
No, well, not when you fire freaking, 15 or 20 missiles and you hit sand and maybe a few Iraqis. That doesn't bode well.
Yeah. No. Fox News is saying 15. Tyro, go ahead.
Yeah. Now, okay. Now I agree with you in terms of the Iranian government is a bad actor. I agree with you on that. What do you think the odds are of the people of Iran rising up like they did under Obama, but this time maybe succeeding?
You would need U.S. support to take out the Revolutionary Guard.
Didn't we take out the head of the Revolutionary Guard?
We just took out a single man. We would have to take out. You got to remember how the Revolutionary Guard has units throughout and big units in their major cities to quell the populace for that purpose. So if we're going to, if we decide to actually get involved, it would take more than just kill a single man. They would have to kill off the Revolutionary Guard barracks. If they hit a number of barracks, could it work? Yeah. But once again, that's offensive action that we would be taking.
What do you think about Akira Sop's statement there, the cute little cat in the pants there? If they go after ships in Hormuz, then Trump will probably go the same route with an Operation Praying Mantis. Could you clarify what that means?
I'm not even sure what Operation Praying Mantis, what he's referring to exactly there, to be honest.
Arisop, could you clarify? I assumed MC would just kind of know what you're talking about because he's MC. Even MC's knowledge is limited. You're gonna. Oh, that's why I like having these streams.
I don't know everything. But what if they go after the ships in the Hormuz? Okay, depending upon how they go about it, most likely what you would see as a response is you would probably see him order the entire elimination of anything that even smells of a naval ship. All right, even probably a rowboat. All right, on the Persian Gulf will be wiped out. There won't be a port anymore.
Oh, so hold on.
All right, I remember what he's talking about now. But Reagan's strike was against the Silkworm missile systems. All right, that they had utilized. It didn't completely remove their capabilities of their smaller ones. It was the Iranian Silkworm missile attack. They did wipe out the Silkworm missiles. In this case, it'll be something similar to that. I agree with you, Ariscop, in that what we'll do is we'll wipe out anything that floats. And that includes, in this case, however, it will include the number of submarines that they have. We will hunt and kill all of their submarine assets. And they have several.
Yeah.
They got close to a dozen.
Now, here's another one. Oh, actually, yeah, that is one counterpoint I would raise to the Iran as bad actor is we do know that they're able to negotiate and to follow up as a rational business partner. If you look at their business dealings with China, they have their business relationship with China is just fine. I mean, CNOOC runs a lot of their refineries and oil fields, for example, and there aren't too many problems there. So they are capable of acting like a rational actor, at least with China. Yeah, I mean, what do you think blocks them from being rational towards us?
I don't know. Maybe the constant, death to America chants.
No,
the fact that they've been saying that since the 1970s, where they keep screaming and have these rallies where they scream death to America.
Now, are there not other large modern nations out there where people within a country will basically chant death to certain people?
When was the last time you saw a death to Russia chant?
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know. I believe President Putin deals with many of those things
The
very
closest
swiftly.
you've seen to a death to China chant is basically in Hong Kong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a death to Russia, I think we saw that at the Women's March. Nah.
I was referring to maybe against certain individuals. Well, even over here, there's a lot of conflict as well among us domestically. And I kind of heard some folks talking about taking some individuals and frying them like certain cuts of meat. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure. Basically, it's one of those things. If you're in there in Iran and 1,000 people are chanting death to America and you're like, USA, USA. All I'm saying is that might be a little peer pressure.
Yeah. Okay. Peer pressure in Parliament, in the Iranian Parliament.
Have you looked at our own Congress?
Do they scream? Do they sit up there and go USA, USA, or
Didn't John McCain say something along bomb Iran? All I know is may he rest in peace. But MC, it's
okay.
No, John McCain is not resting in peace. He is burning
Iran.
in hell.
How many senators in the pile?
How many senators? 100. How many were singing bomb Iran?
I don't know.
One.
I thought you said somebody else came up with that phrase, so other people were saying, MC, you see how this goes.
It was one senator, all right, and was he on the floor of the Senate?
Oh.
No. Okay, was he... What? You're going to sit there and talk about the floor of the Iranian parliament where they were all in a group shouting death to America.
Wasn't Senator McCain a member of the Gang of Eight?
Senator McCain was a member of the gang.
Okay, I'm just saying a respected member of the boy. And again, I'm not trying to drag out and smear the name of Senator McCain. May he rest in peace. But it's just, this is the thing. When you highlight that, that's why I highlight this. This is why I'm maybe if we try to attempt to have the moral high ground, and again, in many ways.
What do you think when they shoot down one of our drones and we don't respond is?
No, I understand.
Okay, what do you think giving them $150 billion, even after they grab and hold hostage 10 American sailors, is?
I thought that was $2.4 billion in cash.
No, it was $150 billion on a pallet. Cash.
Yeah, to be fair, the number is varies because we don't have an exact number, but I like saying 150 billion because it's a big round number.
That's what was reported.
Now, is this more telling of potential attempted backroom diplomacy or processing rates?
It doesn't matter. Did we sit up there and take?
A lot, man.
No. Did we take the high ground? Yes.
Oh.
Did it work, memes?
Okay.
No, it didn't work. Isn't the right answer. It's not okay. We have tried. We have tried tit for tat. We tried restraint. We tried limited responses with Iran. We've even tried to say, you know what? We'll just ignore Iran and maybe things will get better. None of those have worked. You know what hasn't been tried yet?
Bombing the shit out of them?
Bombing them until they scream,
we have 52 targets. We are ready to obliterate.
No, I am talking you bomb them. You go after wherever their government, you think their government assets is. You go after their entire electrical grid. You go after everything that moves until they pull up and go and on that wonderful mosque where they flew the red flag that they fly a white one.
Yeah, no, I'm inclined to agree. That's what when I was referring to like Trump smacking, slapping him like a petulant child. That's basically what I mean. Is you now. I think we're at a stage because Trump took the high ground with the drone, as you point out, didn't help. So now Trump just killed his second in command after the embassy attack. Because it's like, okay, we're done with this shit. You attacked our embassy. No, you're not having another Benghazi. Die. This
And I
sucker
want
is
to point
dead now.
something out to people.
And so you
if
try
you
this
don't mind.
again. We got 52 sites. We will take
I have
out
to
all
point out
52.
one important thing before you rage, MC. Can I point out that when I type World War III, the very first thing it suggests is World War III TikToks. I just wanted
Every
to
day
point
we
that
stray.
out.
Yeah, every day we stray further from God. So yeah,
Okay,
not surprised.
Okay.
rage, MC.
All right. Show my screen.
Okay, oh, here we go. Shared stream, boom. Okay.
All right. Now this is a report from the New York Post. Okay, when the Iranians, they say the Iraqi protesters, but they were Iranians. All right, stormed our embassy in Baghdad, shouting "Death to America." And I want to point out something. Now, if you take a look at the date on this report, this is December 31st. Okay, we haven't taken out Soleimani yet. All right, or Salami Boy. We'll call him Salami Boy now.
Salami Boy's good. I like that.
All right.
General Salami. What?
Soleimani.
Soleimani. All right. Here's something that they scrawled. No to America and Soleimani is my commander. Was written in Gaffredi.
No, MC. I thought, didn't you say a lot of these individuals were perhaps backed by the general? A lot of these different militant organizations.
No, but how many people were saying that? Oh, he was there as a peacemaker. This guy, they're acting like this guy didn't do anything. This guy orchestrated this attack on American soil.
Yep.
Okay, understand this.
Do we have confirmation of that?
This
Soleimani? Yes. So that the attack
he
on
organized
the US
this
embassy in
attack.
Iraq.
Yes.
Okay, we have evidence.
What? It's written in front of you, and you don't even take that as evidence.
So there's never been somebody that's written MAGA and a whole bunch of hateful things that was a false flag.
We hit this guy. Everyone's talking about this guy that we hit, right? That he's an Iranian. Okay, who else was in the? Who else died in that attack?
Member of Parliament.
No, well, I think I remember Iraqi Parliament died, but who else? The deputy of the very PMF, all right, that were running around with all of their uniforms in this attack.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought they were on diplomatic endeavors.
They were not there on a peace mission.
I didn't say peace. I said diplomacy.
Yeah, his diplomacy is we can now kill the Americans. They are too scared to do anything. Just like their grand Ayatollah said, "What are you gonna do, Trump? You can't do shit."
So we've beamed ourselves into conflict.
Huh?
Wasn't this part of the Twitter spat between the Ayatollah and President Trump?
No. This was him. Okay, you can say it was part of the Twitter spat. It wasn't a Twitter spat. He was basically thinking that Trump would never respond.
Okay.
They thought they had carte blanche, that there was not going to be a response to this. They had literally attacked an American embassy, just like they did in '79, and we didn't bomb them back into the freaking Stone Age. They attacked another one.
Remember Benghazi. We also know that the Salami guy was also one of the people who helped organize the Benghazi attack as well.
Soleimani.
Yeah, I know. I like calling him Salami. It's funny, and he does not deserve respect. Dude is a vicious murderer.
Okay, so let's argue about this.
Where the American civilian diplomat was killed and dragged through the streets of Benghazi.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't.
Really? And somehow, no one was screaming, "What a war crime! What an Iranian war crime! How could we tolerate this?"
Was that done
memes.
by Iranians?
Soleimani was one of the ones that planned it. So yeah.
Yes. It was done by others as well. There were definitely Libyans at fault, and we did actually catch one of the primary organizers. So it wasn't all Soleimani who did it, but he was one of the financial supporters up there. So let's be clear, he had a hand in it. But the U.S. embassy attack
Moria,
in Iraq
I'm going
was
to say something right now. The idea that you're right in saying that the United States is not there to police the entire world. But even asking the question, well, what if they sent one of their drones over here? They don't think like we do. You're expecting them to respond like we do. They don't.
Okay, if they had our tech in our position and everything, would it be different?
They're going to respond the way the Iranians respond. If they had our tech in our position, there wouldn't be a Saudi Arabia. There wouldn't be an Iraq. There would be greater Iran, and they would be in the middle of trying to invade, Europe.
Well, Jordan and Israel, probably.
Is there anything inherently wrong with the United States of Arabia?
Inherently wrong with the United States of Arabia? A United States type thing? No, but there's not going to be a United States type thing.
Yeah, they don't think in terms of a U.S.
empire.
Is there
they
anything
think in terms of an Ottoman Empire.
Is there anything inherently wrong with this Islamic Caliphate?
Yes.
Yes. Theocracies are not good.
Because it's automatically expansionist, all right, where it will sit up there and try and forcibly convert the infidel.
Yeah.
Okay. So they would project power upon the world.
No, they will project freaking dictatorship around the world. Not
so power. They'd be exerting power across the world.
No, they will be trying to convert. There's a whole difference.
Okay.
There is. There's a difference between a caliphate, which is religiously motivated. That religious motivation means that they are fundamentally irrational in nature, that they will fight beyond a measure of reasonableness, that, say, two people fighting over a resource, they're going to attempt not to destroy the resource in question. They will also tend to try to obey some sort of rules so that they don't suffer too heavy a loss so they can maintain political power. A caliphate, on the other hand, will be like, we're going to die for our cause, go in and suicide, woo! And they are the irrationality of that kind of structure makes them far more dangerous than a normal state.
So like a kamikaze bomber in like World War II.
Yes, that's a very good analogy. Yes, the Japanese were of an equivalent radical mindset as an Islamic caliphate would be, and they were very dangerous because of
Mitch has a solution. Let's send in Captain Marvel.
Yes, please. Let's have Brie Larson be a sex slave to him forever. Then we don't have to have any more movies with her. I'm okay with this.
She's a woman after my own heart. She just sees people.
Can you imagine how they would react if we said we'd give you Brie Larson? They might take that as an insult of the highest order.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I would.
Is that a slap in the face of America?
So memes, I'm trying to understand. Are you just asking questions to provoke conversation, or do you question or do you have a doubt in terms of how the U.S. should respond in this instance?
I don't have all the information. I ain't the almighty. I don't know what the answer is. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm chatting with you guys to try to get some more information. Grind out a few hours towards getting monetized, assuming the world is still around by the time I could get monetized. Continue.
I've given you suggestion after suggestion. You just keep rejecting them all.
Wait, what? And again, I say we should try to avoid genocide. This is something we should try to avoid.
I agree.
You disagree. I can respect you as a human being. I mean, I would prefer to see conflict and less conflict and de-escalation. And according to what Mad was saying, even Prime Minister Erdogan wants to reduce tensions in the area.
Well, because Erdogan wants his piece of the pie. Erdogan's idea is to recreate the Ottoman Empire under the Erdogan regime.
Oh, well, I mean, who doesn't like pie?
Pie.
Where does pie come from?
I don't know.
Where did that conversation even come from?
I think the circles that you guys are in, kind of like this. 3.1415, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, genocide and self-defense are separate issues, Mitch says. I agree. Yeah, we don't have to commit genocide to protect the interests of the United States. Weakening Iran, as I said, slapping Iran around like a petulant child when they threaten us and so on, that's protecting our interests because they have gotten on airs. The Iranian government has targeted American soldiers. They have threatened American lives. They have acted to threaten neighboring countries such as Israel and Jordan. I mean, we shouldn't overlook the fact that they are also a threat to Jordan's regime, and that ruler's pretty cool. The king of Jordan is not a bad dude. So Iran threatens him. They also threaten Saudi Arabia as well. Saudi Arabia, I have less sympathy for. They're not great people.
My buddy dated a cute girl from Jordan. We called her Jordan. That wasn't her actual name, but she was cute. She rode on the back of my motorcycle once.
Neat. But Iran smacking them around is one thing. The main thing is we need to get rid of their arrogance. The primary problem with Iran, what keeps them from being a good actor, what motivates them to be a bad actor, is that they are arrogant. They feel like they can get away with anything. This is something MC brought up when he said, like,
actor is a 12th century cultural identity mentality that they're not going to give up without being destroyed.
Yeah. And here's the thing.
The vast majority of Iranians want that?
No.
Well, say that again.
I think the vast majority of Iranians want that, though.
The vast majority of the Iranians will go along with it.
See, I disagree.
They wouldn't have installed. They would not have installed the Ayatollah in '79 if they would.
A lot of people have been born since then.
Yeah, a lot of people have been born. What you have now is a burgeoning, thanks to the economic investment from China. You have a burgeoning Iranian middle class, and that burgeoning middle class actually likes America. Like, they consume our media, they like American movies. They consume our stuff. They don't want war with us. In fact, they think a lot. You have, if you read some of the comics and some of the media that's come out of people who've gotten out of there, like Persephone, the comic Persephone. I've met a couple Iranian refugees in my time. And they'll say, yeah, the average Iranian doesn't see the point of all the Sharia law nonsense. The main thing that keeps it in place is, things like the guard.
If the majority of the Iranians don't see the point of it, fine. But the fact is that they'll acquiesce to it, and they'll do nothing to actually change out of it.
Right. So if there were enough Iranians that were disinclined to acquiesce to those requests, then progress? Sorry, Taro.
And Mitch says, if the people of Iran don't want the ruling class, it's incumbent upon them to make changes. Yeah, they tried. There was an outright revolution, and Obama sat back and, by some reports, even helped Iran suppress that revolution and to wipe them out. That's why it didn't succeed. If the U.S. had come out and supported it and been like, hey, we like you guys. Okay, we're going to help you. Like, boom. Okay, here's a couple well-placed explosions. We've evened the playing field. Go get them, guys, and let them settle it. Yeah, we could have had a civil war regime change within Iran to something that not as bad an actor. They would have owed us a favor, well, in theory, but things may have improved there. Instead, Obama deliberately sat back and allowed the Ayatollahs to stay in power because he likes them and he was getting money from them. Now that we know, like some of that 150 billion we sent over there ended up in Obama's pockets.
Do we have confirmation and actual evidence aside from tangential? Because that is a serious accusation of the former president.
Oh yeah, it is a serious accusation. It's starting to come out thanks to people poking around the money trail from the Obama era. Here, we're getting a lot of the investigation around the Bidens has spilled over now into the Obamas and the Clintons, where they get their money too.
There are a number of people when the Biden, as people started to really do serious investigations into the Bidens and the whole Ukrainian thing. There are a number of U.S. politicians. Lindsey Graham is one of them that appear to be very shady at the very least.
Yeah. So this is more recent stuff that is only starting to come out. Hopefully we'll get like more official confirmation. Right now, I will preface and say it's something of a rumor, but it's substantiated rumor at this point, and it's getting more. We're getting more and more and more of it.
It's an allegation.
There. Now, as far as the Iranian thing goes, there's nothing that I say that points directly to Obama. Yes, there's some questionable things that are going on. Kerry is a big part of that. All right. Oh, yeah. His name is all over a lot of this crap. But exactly how much Obama was involved necessarily directly with some kind of wash my hand funding to Obama with the Iranians. I'm not going to go as far as Tyro did and say that he was taking money from the Iranians. He is, however, and he is a supporter of the Iranian regime. That is an accurate assessment. But then again, he's a supporter of all of those types of regimes, of those religious frickin' figures, which is why he toppled Mubarak, which is why he frickin' toppled Gaddafi. Neither Gaddafi nor Mubarak, all right, were religious. For the most part, they were both secular leaders. And Obama got rid of
because did we have direct conflict in Egypt? I know we did in Libya.
We didn't have good direct we didn't have direct conflict, but what we did do, all right, is we destabilized it. All right, we did give funding, all right, to the radical elements. We were one of the first countries that when Mubarak toppled, couldn't wait to sit up there and say yes to the Muslim Brotherhood as they roamed around raping and pillaging women, including some of our reporters.
That organization, I believe, one of them was elected to be prime minister and then was removed.
All right. After what was he trying to do as prime minister?
I don't remember his exact.
Did rewrite the entire constitution so that they were going to become an Islamic republic?
Well, the people apparently weren't fans of that.
Well, the people weren't fans of it, but Barack Obama was. He was trying to give them weapons. It wasn't until Congress said, no, we're not going to allow you to give him the weapon systems. Do you remember that means?
I believe that he did not agree with the policy that they were trying to put in place.
Oh, really? But he was still willing to give them U.S. weapons.
Well, we've never done that before.
He was going to give them heavy weapons.
We've never done that before.
All right, we don't get not the people that are sitting there saying we're going to sit up there and become an Islamic State.
Oh, well, nobody's ever lied before.
What do you mean? He wasn't lying. He was trying to become an Islamic State.
Okay, MC, do we want to go down the path of weaponry, or do we want to go down to the path of what about the whole?
He wasn't satisfied with that, so he decided to actually use our weapon systems to take out Gaddafi. Right. This is right after Gaddafi, during the Bush administration, had turned over to the UN, directly to the UN, without even asking, all of his chemical weapons.
Right, but they were getting ready to level a town or a city the size of Charlotte.
No, we weren't.
Oh, well, that's what President Obama said.
No, we weren't.
No, whoa. The attack on Libya was almost completely unjustified. Yeah. Like there was no reason to go after Gaddafi at all. He was playing ball.
Weapons or anything. I'm talking about during the Bush administration, and I think it was 2005. All right.
Yeah.
Gaddafi turned over all of his chemical weapons stockpile. People didn't even realize that his stockpile was even close to what it was, and he on his own turned it over to the UN.
Yeah. Gaddafi decided to be a good boy and decided to play ball because it was like, nope, I don't want to be killed like Hussein was. I'm going to be a good boy. You guys will leave me alone. And now we got rid of him. Now guess who runs Libya? Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda has Libya as one of their bases because Gaddafi was keeping them at bay. He was killing the Al-Qaeda guys, the people who are our enemy. He was killing them, and we got rid of him. And now they're like, woohoo, we control Libya now.
There's a major civil war going on there, and of course, Turkey is actually getting involved in it. They actually are putting troops in Libya now. You know, one of our NATO allies is actually putting troops in Libya. Think about that.
Well, that's delving into many other issues as well. What would you say about this playing into the whole Brennan plan? Or I believe it was Brennan, or correct me on who it was, where they said, okay, we're going to go into this particular country, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and basically kind of go and remove the individuals in power. Because it's kind of, to a lot of folks, it's starting to sound that way or seem that way.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was the Brennan plan was taking out the secular elements around there, which is why he went after Bashir Assad, which is why he went after Mubarak, and which is why he stood up there and took out Gaddafi. But that wasn't Brennan's plan. That let's be honest, that's Obama's plan.
Now, Moira Kitty brings up an interesting thing about we created ISIS, and talks about a film clip. And that's actually correct. One of the things that also came out, and this was, I think it was in either the Financial Times and another news source back when the Benghazi incident happened. But one of the reasons it was attacked by the people it was attacked by is we were running arms out of Benghazi. And we were selling them to the Syrian rebels, including ISIS. And the State Department was profiting from it. So that was in the news. They had several news articles on it about how the State Department was running guns to various groups, including ISIS, and making money from it. That's one of the things that got shut down with Benghazi was the CIA operation of supplying guns. But we helped arm ISIS in our Syria efforts. And that's one of the reasons why
that is because they were trying to take out Bashir Assad, who succeeded his father, Hafez Assad. And Hafez Assad was a bad dude. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, Assad's no angel either.
I thought his son this was a son that wasn't even supposed to be in line. I thought he was going to school to become a doctor.
He was an optometrist, if I remember correctly.
So he's like Rand Paul.
Could be, but either way, regardless of what he was in line to do, all right, he is now in charge of Syria.
Yeah, and he was friends with Russia. That's, I think, the main reason, because I think Russia wanted to put a pipeline through there. That's what caused a lot of the issues. Well, we wanted some other pipeline to go through Syria, I think, right?
To be honest, it isn't so much us as there's our allies in there. There's two allies that have a stake in this, and they both are somewhat at odds with one another and with the Syrians, and that is the Turks and that's the Saudis.
So going back on about Obama's plan to topple the Middle East, you were laying out. I believe that what I was referring to was developed during the Bush administration.
The people were making all sorts of wild assumptions of what Bush's plans were. Now, Afghanistan was because of 9/11, all right? Iraq was because for two reasons. One was because of the UN resolutions, all right, that started shooting at our planes again, and people said, okay, that's enough. We need to actually do something. All right. The other reason was, of course, is if you take out Iraq, then you can focus on Iran, knowing how bad of an actor Iran is.
Yeah, but that ended up blowing on our face because Iraq is now an Iranian agent. Iran now, we've expanded Iran's territory.
The problem with that began because Bush didn't do something that very few presidents understand that they're going to have to do if they're conservative in any way, shape, or form. And that is, you've got to fire everybody in the State Department.
You do realize that might create a vacuum.
They went in there and said, okay, we'll after the major units were defeated, they then determined, well, we'll let the State Department run the show. And the State Department was telling the generals what they could do and what they couldn't do, and they were letting them come up with all the damn plans rather than run it like we needed to run it, which is, okay, now that we've conquered you, you are occupied. We will tell you where you will go to sleep. We will tell you where you will go to eat. We will tell you where you will work. We will tell you what you will do, and you will like it, or you will find yourselves on the outside looking in.
So, MC, you do realize that seems very harsh.
That's exactly what it took to take care of Japan, and that's exactly what it took to take care of Germany. And this is after we literally bombed their cities into rubble.
Yeah. The Japan is actually an excellent analogy to Iran because Japan's level of radicalization, dedication, and brainwashing could be said to be similar to Iran. The only difference I would say is Iran is less brainwashed than Japan was, because there's a chunk again of that middle class that is exposed to America and is not sympathetic to the Guard and stuff. So they have that, and Japan didn't have that. Japan was way more gung ho in their time.
It was more feudalistic in that regard. Yes.
Yeah. And that's actually how we beat Japan too. How we got them to surrender. We brought them to the brink of total extinction.
We took out two major freaking military bases and a major military communication site in regards to Hiroshima. So the idea that all we did was kill civilians was nonsense.
We also
to kill civilians, all we had to do was drop a bomb on Osaka and ended it that way.
We also firebombed a fair number of cities as well.
Well, yeah, but again, that military. The reason we nuked Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the part that gets left out of the revisionist history books, is because those were some of the only military installations left because we kept blowing them up so much.
Well, I thought the whole justification at the time, at least according to what I remember being a junior in high school, I believe at the time, junior or sophomore, when we were doing World War II, it's like, okay, we could continue the bombing campaign. It will likely cost a great deal of American casualties as well as even more Japanese casualties. Whereas if you have the bombing of Hiroshima, wait several days, bombing of Nagasaki, and at that point, the Japanese who were willing to literally just suicide into our ships and everything to try to stop us, that was the only way to have an exclamation point for them to think, okay, there's absolutely no feasible way we're going to be completely obliterated. Because I remember our group ended up deciding, yeah, we would launch nuclear weapons.
Yeah, hold on. The calculation there was because there were two ways forward. One was to use nukes. The other one was invasion. The calculation of the casualties for invasion was very, very high, like hundreds of thousands of U.S. troops killed, because it was, if you invaded Japan and they were not ready to surrender, you were looking at essentially a Viet Cong situation where, like, around every corner was someone willing to stab you to death and die.
It would have been far worse than Viet Cong.
Oh yeah, it would have been worse.
It would have made that look like it. The reality of this, if you really want to know the truth of the matter, the reality is, in preparation for the invasion of Japan, they printed up so many Purple Hearts that we've never had to print up another line of Purple Hearts since then.
Yeah. But so the one possibility was a land invasion. So they looked to the nukes and were like, hey, if we can end the war with these two bombs, we save hundreds of thousands of American troop lives. That's worth it. It wasn't a bombing campaign. It was
Japanese lives as well.
Yeah, because we wouldn't have had, it would have avoided literal genocide, because you would have, oh man, it would have been, yeah, you would have had to wipe out a whole lot of Japanese people on that way. And it would have been bloody, because you would have had Hirohito and the generals saying, fight to the last man. So, well, we dropped the bomb on, I think Hiroshima was the first one, right? God, my memory sucks. Anyway, yeah, Hiroshima was the first one. And then we said, are you going to surrender? The reason we dropped the second one was not because, oh my God, we're such badasses. It's because even after the first bomb, the radio chatter, because by this point we were monitoring all their communications, the radio chatter from the generals and all their command was, we're going to keep fighting. We don't care. They've only got one of those, we bet. You know, we could keep fighting against this. That's why we had to drop the second, because they were not ready to surrender after the first one. We had to drop the second one.
Nagasaki was actually was actually the secondary target. They weren't even the primary target on that run.
Oh, okay. That one I didn't know. I forgot about that. Thanks for that.
So, FC, here's my question: are we going to see one of these deployed in the near future?
Yep.
Okay. So the GBU-57AB Massive Ordnance Penetrator, or MOP, is a precision-guided 30,000-pound bunker buster bomb used by the United States Air Force. This is substantially larger than the deepest penetrating bunker busters previously available, the 5,000-pound GBU-28. So what the hell does this thing do?
Goes deep underground and explodes.
Oh. All right.
Here's a question. Since we know that about this one's existence, I'm assuming that we already have something on the field that's better than this guy.
To be honest, anything bigger than this is a nuke.
So when it says 30,000 pound, is that okay? So its mass is 30,000. Do we know its explosive yield? I should probably
14 kilotons.
Oh, isn't that? What was the original size of Hiroshima?
About 10 kilotons.
So this puts out more explosive force than the bomb that leveled Hiroshima.
Yes.
That is terrifying.
That's cool. I want a dozen.
Oh no! Don't get me wrong. Like as a dude that likes seeing things blow up, it's like I can respect that, but that terrifies the hell out of me.
Yeah, the thing though is that it's also terrifying.
Should we retweet this? I don't know. I feel like this may lead to negotiations. I don't know.
Hopefully, the problem is though is people have already said that there are apparently bunkers able to not get hurt by this thing. Apparently, it's already gone obsolete.
They've made those claims in the past, just like they claimed. They told the Kuwaitis, by the way, that the French did that their new airfield systems that they built wouldn't be destroyed by any American conventional ordnance. When we went in after Desert Storm, all right, the Kuwaitis then sued the French because they now you notice what you're showing there dropping this thing.
I realize it's dropping 2 of them.
Yes, it can drop. It can only carry 2.
Oh dear.
The max capacity is 2. That's how big those things are.
So that will go straight into the ground. It looks like it hit pretty deep there. And yeah, that's a shockwave.
Yeah, now most of the explosive force is directional, right? It's like a Claymore bomb, right?
It's most of it stays underground, and its whole purpose is to destroy any kind of tunnel system or underground system that's there.
That is wow. What do we get for? Oh, it looks like basically the same thing.
Yeah, just a replay of it.
I wonder if we have a drone that can carry one of those things.
A drone?
Yeah.
It takes a B-2 bomber to freaking fly those things.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Could you remove the pilots and then remotely joystick it? Yeah, you probably could, but would you do that?
Well, it's also at that point, if you take the pilot out of the cockpit, what happens if somebody ninjas a signal in there?
Moria, the phosphorus that we've used, all right, technically is not against the Geneva Convention. One thing that when people bring up the Geneva Convention, we have not fully signed the Geneva Convention.
I learned that, Moira, from MC, because I basically used that same argument. He's like, we're not part of the Geneva Convention. I'm like,
no, we're not.
That explains a lot.
The full idea of the Geneva Convention includes that we won't use landmines. We won't do several things. Now, we have agreed that we won't use white phosphorus on human targets. We won't use it as a weapon. However, we will use it for flares and signals and things like that, and smoke generation. Now, is that crossing a fine line? Well, yeah, but then again, firing a 50 cal at human targets is technically against the Geneva Convention. And we get around it by saying, I'm not trying to hit the person, I'm trying to hit his web gear. I'm trying to hit the weapon that he's carrying.
We're hitting the weapon that's being piloted by humans. Yes. We get very creative with how we
I'm hitting the weapon, and the fact that it just happens to vaporize the weapon and then go right through him and vaporize him. Well, that's just
if I happen to miss the weapon and hit him.
Oh no!
Darn,
yeah. Is that why we don't have Puff the Magic Dragon anymore?
The reason we don't have Puffs anymore is because we've changed them to AC-130 Spectres.
Wait, our dragons are now metal? That's kind of cool.
Wait,
the AC-130 Spectres are something even worse.
Oh man, okay, you need to send me a link about that. I have not kept track of that.
Are those the choppers?
No.
Oh, AC-130s?
Look up AC-130 Spectre.
Okay. T or AC?
AC.
Okay. AC-130 Spectre.
The Lockheed AC-130. It's a gunship is a heavily armed, long-endurance ground attack variant of the C-130 Hercules transport fixed-wing aircraft. Carries a whole wide array of ground attack weapons that are integrated with sophisticated sensors, navigation, and fire control systems. Unlike other modern military fixed-wing aircraft, the AC-130 relies on visual targeting because of a large profile and low operating altitudes of approximately 7,000 feet. Makes it an easy target. Its close air support missions are usually flown at night. The airframe, blah blah blah. What are we looking at in over
Now,
here?
is that guy? Is it slow or is it fast?
It is fairly slow. You should have read the weapons, which you went past.
Wait, I was looking for the weapons. Where are the weapons?
Go down.
Oh,
Before you got to there, right above there.
okay.
There.
Oh, all right. Here we go. It's on display. Oh, aircraft on display. This one?
No. Where was it? I just saw it a little while ago.
Let me see.
There you go. There it is. Go a little further down.
All right.
Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. We're actively introduced.
Right there. No, you went too far. Right there.
Okay. 2 days out of Paris, we're in Orenfield. 16 military personnel. Ghost Ride.
Where it talks about the crews added.
Okay, the crew's added.
You keep going too far.
I know. I don't know what I'm looking for. This paragraph. This one. I'm wearing sunglasses.
Right below that.
Okay.
I think that's the one. Nope, the one below that.
Okay. On November 15th, 2 days after the attacks in Paris by ISIL, AC-33s and an A-10 Thunderbolt attack aircraft destroyed a convoy. Over 100 ISIL-operated oil tanker trucks.
No, go down to where it talks about the Dragon Spear aircraft.
All right.
Right, stop right there. And right above where it's talking the A-10 Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
Where it says crews added. No.
Okay. Ah.
All right,
Right.
is it with crews deployed to Howard? Okay.
We're started. Crews cutting holes.
Right there.
Okay. Added 105 millimeter cannon. 20-inch infrared and electro-optical sensors and the ability to carry 250-pound bombs on the wings. A 105 millimeter cannon. That's pretty big.
How many rounds does that thing fire per second?
Oh, it's a slow firing weapon, but at the same time, it's still got the chain guns, 20 millimeter chain guns.
Nice. See, why don't we take out their anti-air, and then we just have 3 or 4 of those guys go, and we just lay fire onto the Iranian parliament building or their leadership, and just
that's a
fill it
30
full of,
millimeter.
not necessarily to kill them, just fill it full of holes and then fly away and be like, okay, what you gonna do about it? Just taunt them.
Yeah, it's got bombs. That was a 30 millimeter cannon right there. They mounted a 105 millimeter cannon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It fires incendiary ammunition. Goes boom.
I like it.
But yeah, it takes like 1 round of that to light up your local IHOP. It's not the type of pancakes you want to come into.
Oh man, I can see a pilot of one of those saying, "Pancakes hot and ready, fire!" That'd be cool.
Not the flapjacks you're looking for. But yeah, that's all I really got right now. We're pushing the 2-hour mark here. Viewers are starting to trail. Do we? We can wrap up here. Give some final thoughts on what we think here. So, Tyro, why don't you go ahead and give your thoughts? Because I know MC will want to have some words.
Sure. Let's see. I know I come off a little bloodthirsty on this particular topic more than usual, as because a little bit I am. Iran to me is a far more justifiable military target than Iraq, because Iran has actually attacked America, or attacked American soldiers and civilians, and been involved in that. So they are, they're kind of like Al Qaeda and Osama bin Laden. I mean, we were completely justified in targeting Osama bin Laden terrorists today are what pirates used to be back when the Constitution was written. Completely justified for the U.S. government to take out stateless actors who target your country's interests. Same way it was justified when we took out pirates, is justified today when we take out Bin Laden or General Salami here. So I don't have any constitutional problem with it. Now, I do say no land war. I would much rather prefer to basically beat them into submission, to do like we did to Japan, to show them that the only path, the only result of opposing the U.S. is complete and total annihilation. Because at that point, assuming they're not totally insane, which they might be. Well, again, we don't know. They haven't really been tested because all our presidents have been complete wusses up to now on this topic. But on facing utter annihilation, they should blink like the Japanese did, surrender, and then maybe there's a path forward where things might settle down a little bit. I mean, not perfectly. The other option too is we can let that region devolve into chaos and go from there. The other note I would also make is we do have to be careful because one of the key investors in Iran is China, and we don't really want to be blowing up China's property and all of this, because if we do, then we're pissing off China, and that's going to complicate things unnecessarily, especially since we just got the Phase 1 trade deal in. We don't need to be scuttling a worthwhile trade deal with China, because there's no reason that China can't be a friendly or a good trade partner with us, and we don't want to blow that up because of Iran. We shouldn't let Iran drag China into this if we can help it. But I do agree with a lot of MC's points in terms of Iran's a bad actor, and there's no winning in the Middle East. It's more like surviving or things. But we may need to just establish that we're the biggest, baddest guy on the block. Or essentially, it's like you fuck with us and you're dead meat, which is not a strategy that we've tried. We've tried approaching them from a civilized perspective, and that doesn't really work. Not with Iran, and not with too many of the people there, unfortunately. So one reason why Reagan kind of pulled us out. But we'll see how this takes place. I'm looking forward to Trump's comments in the morning. I'm curious what has been going on at night, because I noticed the news agencies have stopped reporting. The live streams are gone now, if you notice. So if stuff's going on right now, no one's talking about it. They're keeping it quiet. We'll find out in the morning what the plan going forward is and just how this is going to shape up.
Well, I think that part's good news, because that means that we're not in the middle of going after anybody. All right. Yeah. The Moria Kitty, there is no such thing as an honorable way to frickin' end a war. All right, especially with an enemy that is there just to kill you. You can wish that there was. You can wish that they would act a different way, but they set the rules for the war. They're the aggressors here, and in their mindset, all right, civilians don't exist. What they have are targets. You have the enemy. So you can wish this away. You can wish Iran to do something else. Iran won't do it. We have tried to sit up there and talk to them. We have tried to be reasonable with them. We have shown not just restraint, but we've actually shown acquiescence. None of this has worked. All right. We've even shown a little bit of strength, but in a tit for tat type of environment. The only thing that we haven't tried with Iran, is massive, overwhelming force. And like it or not, that is the only thing that's going to fix the situation there. Because culturally, they're still back in the 12th century. They acquiesce to that 12th century mindset. The entire population acquiesces to it. Now, you can say that, well, yeah, there's been some riots here, but they've been easily suppressed. And I mean relatively easily. Okay? It hasn't taken tens of thousands of deaths to put these things down. Just a few hundred here and there have been able to keep those areas suppressed. It was the same way in Japan prior to World War II. All right. There were a number of times that the Japanese had riots happen, all right, of a certain type, all right, that were fairly easily suppressed by the military. All right. I would disagree with you also when you say that our country has lied, but that's a time for a different stream. Okay.
All right. We can argue about different things for hours and hours, but
no, we can. The thing to say that when we say that they're civilians, that's our term. That's not their term.
Correct.
Okay, and they're
the same as human shields.
The rules for this.
I thought that was a military designation. That's the thing. If you are
really not a military definition at all.
Well, it's our military. It's not. Those aren't the rules that they play. They see civilians. What we call civilians, they just see them as meat shields. I mean, they put military installations in historical cultural sites because they know that we don't want to blow up historical cultural sites because we worry about the PR from it. They don't care. If those sites get blown up, they see it strictly from a military.
Moria, if you want to think about it, we were minding our own business in Afghanistan after the Russians pulled out. We had nothing to do with them, and look how that turned out.
Well, let's be fair. We did create Al Qaeda to fight the Russians, and that was a bad idea.
We didn't create Al Qaeda. We supported them. Okay, we supported people in a fight against the Soviet Union.
President Obama supported the overthrowing of Mubarak.
No, a different situation entirely.
Okay, one was an actively stable nation, and then one was
one was the Russians, which don't speak Arabic, who were in control of an Arabic nation.
Go on, MC.
Okay, they're not the same thing, are they?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying they're the same, but it's the same general underlying.
It isn't the same general underlying thing. You're drawing a false equivalency because it wasn't anything like that. And what we did is we supplied weapons, all right, to fight the Russians. All right, that's true. All right, after they defeated the Russians, what did we do? We left. We did not sit up there and dictate to them. We did not tell them how to live. We didn't do anything to them whatsoever. We didn't even isolate them.
Had we promised them more support? And then
no.
Okay. Maybe I'd heard differently. Okay, maybe I'm mistaken.
What support were you expecting from the United States?
Maybe I'm conflating that with North Korea and saying that we will continue to help, and then, oh, by the way, other things.
What do you mean we were continuing to help?
I thought we were supposed to continue to support North Korea, and one of the reasons why, after they got the nuclear reactors, we had promised more.
Moria, in the 50s, we overthrew a revolutionary government that was it was a communist government at the time to reinstall the Shah. All right, and the way we did it was the same way that we did what we did in Afghanistan, which was we supplied them weapons and material support more than anything else. Okay. That, however, was more to do as an apology for what we had done in the Suez.
Well, it looks like MC, you got yourself a little future stream with Miss Moira Kitty here.
Yes, we do need a separate stream.
It may even go over as well as you and Cub's review of Starship Troopers.
Yeah, that went over real well for Cub, didn't it? No, Moria, it's not that I don't think that there aren't bad actors in the United States government or that we're not perfect. Okay, I'm not saying that we're perfect in that regard. All right, the idea that we quote unquote created these situations, we didn't, is overstating the reality. Okay, were we helping these people in certain circumstances? Yeah. Did we help the Soviet Union? All right, when they were fighting World War II and going after Hitler? Yeah, we did.
Okay. Well, just to kind of wrap some things up and bring us full circle here. Bud Presley says sometimes we have to sacrifice for the greater good. I would say we should be wary of the greater good, because I hear that invoked very often before terrible things happen. But we're going to have to see, like we've stated here, and the president has stated, we're going to have to see how President Trump comes out, responds in the morning. I mean, I am a bit wary that we are not hearing anything that tends to lead me to believe that there could be the possibility we may actually have active operations going on. Again, I can't fault anybody for not reporting on that, because, again, if I'm in an operation, I don't necessarily want anyone divulging that at that time. I can respect that, but I think as we've seen, we're probably gonna the next 24, 48 hours, along with about the next 7 to 10 days, should be very telling. So
I also wanted to just drop a little bit more breaking news. So this has come out of Iran. So we don't know the reliability, but it seems a Ukrainian 737 was flying outside of Tehran, and apparently was hit by one of the Iranian missiles they fired and has been completely destroyed. All 300 on board killed. So Iran has blown up a Ukrainian airplane. Kind of a reverse of wasn't there an incident where we accidentally blew up an Iranian airliner?
I
wouldn't say that was an accident, because that wasn't an accident.
Well, according to this, it's Ukraine airline plane crashes in Tehran, crashing Bloomberg, crashes outside again.
Well,
they're claiming technical issue, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, the technical issue is that it ran into a missile.
Yeah.
Crash.
Or it could be that the 737 MAX.
180 passengers and crew crashed shortly after takeoff from Imam Khomeini Airport in Tehran early Wednesday local time. Iran semi-official news agency has now reported many passengers aboard Ukraine international flights died, said Perosian Koluvidad, apologies on your name, head of Iran's emergency medical services. Emergency service crews have been dispatched to the crash site but cannot assist because the area is currently ablaze. Koluvidad said on INRAN, a state-run media outlet. Flight tracking service, Flight Radar 24, said in a tweet that jets had been in service for about 3.5 years. As in the report, the crash was due to technical difficulties. This is a developing story and will be updated. So, is confirmed by multiple sources that a Ukrainian airline plane has gone down. There are fatalities. It could potentially have been shot down. So, and again,
well, I think we
probably are playing into things because we're like, okay, we're in an area that could be an active war zone where this could simply have been just perhaps shoddy maintenance or technical malfunction.
Well, it could be that this is one of the new freaking 737. That have that technical issue.
Oh,
right? Even though they've been theoretically cleared. All right, it's very possible that it got into that issue with the airspeed indicator.
So I must clarify, I am not a licensed financial advisor, but so what you're saying is we should short sell Boeing.
No. All right. Armed Al-Qaeda in the 1960s. Well, first of all, the Al-Qaeda situation, Moria, none of that happened in the 60s. That all took place in the 80s, the 70s, and the 80s when we were doing things. I'm not forgetting about the 144-day standoff. And by the way, it wasn't 144 days. It was a lot longer. Okay. Just to let you know. In fact, it was closer to a year. All right. That the hostages were held. When there is some truth to your statement that says that we allowed the Ayatollah Khomeini to take power. There is truth to that, but it has more to do with Brzezinski making a series of really bad assumptions.
And
wasn't it because Carter sucked?
Well, okay, yeah, but Carter.
They didn't want to give him away.
Carter was one of Carter's advisors, and Carter started hearing issues about there possibly being issues in Iran. And when he asked Brzezinski, who was the I think Secretary of State at the time, was there any threat there, or was he in charge? No, I think it was the Secretary of State. Either that, or he was the Secretary of the Defense. Whether there was any issue there. Brzezinski told him no. He said that the Shah is fine. Continue with what you're doing. All right. At the time, Carter was involved in START 2. Okay. Or SALT 2, rather, not START 2, but SALT 2. He was trying to get a second arms limitation treaty with the Russians. And so his focus remained on the Russians rather than the Iranians. So when the Ayatollah seized power, all right, because the United States, he was asking when we were ignoring the requests by the Shah for support. Okay, it came as a shock to Carter. And it came as a shock to the rest of the world that we allowed it to happen. Even worse, we didn't even allow the Shah to, seek asylum in the United States. He had to go somewhere else. In fact, if I remember correctly, he went to Chile.
I hear it's very warm down there.
Well, Pinochet was still in charge.
Well, I hear it's very warm down there.
All right, so that was another issue, if I remember correctly. I mean, he didn't come to the United States. The Shah did. He did later on come to the United States for medical treatments, but he didn't request asylum inside of the United States. All right, so it's just one of those things.
Now, Moira, listen. The dude is going around building habitats and stuff for humanity, and dude, man, could grow a mean peanut, allegedly, that I've heard. So, President Carter is still president of these United States, whether you like him or not. But as far as I know, we're going to have to see. The next few days and weeks are going to be very pivotal, but it does seem that we are at war. What form it takes, we're going to have to see. So I tossed your folks' channels there in the chat. Tyro, if you want to shill anything.
Sure. Let's see. Please check out my channel's kind of dead. I finally got my computer fixed. I haven't been able to edit audio for a while, so I finally got that fixed up. So I should be able to start releasing a few videos here and there. I'm not going to be updating nearly as regularly as I used to, of course. But the big thing right now, though, I'm working on is with Waifu. Subscribe to Lokemon. That is Lo-Fi's Pokemon channel. She and I have been releasing videos. We did every time she comes to visit, we do a whole bunch of unboxing videos of like Pokemon, and now we've got Force of Will cards. So she has been releasing those steadily onto her channel, so you can hear us banter back and forth because we're right there in person. And our other big project is Animoon. So we stopped doing Moonfest Destiny because my work schedule got too hectic to be able to keep up regular Monday stuff. But we now do Animoon Ogatari is our new channel name. It's the revamped Moonfest. So now we do more anime stuff because we both like anime. It gives an excuse to spend time together. We right now we're doing a series of watching Ascendance of a Bookworm. We're still finishing it off. We just finished off the episode 7. Kind of watch along with commentary. We're going to do that. Our newest video is Anime of the Decade. It's a big chunky 4-hour video where we did or just reviewing a bunch of the top anime through the 2010s and like giving our favorites for each year, and then we closed out like favorite of the 2019, favorite of the decade, what we hope for the 2020s. It's a nice big stonking 4 hours long. If you want to hear Lo and I go back and forth about anime, it's kind of cute and stuff. And yes, so everyone knows Lo-Fi's favorite movie of all time is Frozen 2. She loves Frozen 2. So we also did a couple videos on Frozen 2 on Lokemon together, so you can hear all her amazing enjoyment of just all the Frozen stuff I bought her when she was here, and I forced her to play with, or she asked me to buy because she loves it so much. Anyway, so.
A little Freudian slip there, Mr. Moonhopper. Good show.
Yeah, indeed. I don't emotionally torture my waifu by making her admit to liking stuff she hates. No, I'm not like that at all.
That would be cruel and sadistic, almost like MC. I mean, MC, why don't you let the good folks know where they can find you?
No, I do a daily stream Monday through Friday in the morning. All right, where I go over different political stories, where I go on my intentional angry rants starting off. Although I try to always finish it off with a fun story of some sort, which lasts a little over an hour generally every day, and then I'll put out videos. But I tend to be more political in nature, for a variety of reasons. Once in a while, I'll talk about a different story that's not political, but for the most part, I try to stay on the political side of the house. So that's my channel. You can come and visit it. So that's who I am.
All right. And again, since we've passed the 2-hour mark again, thank you for tuning in, everybody, to this special report of we being at war. The means of destruction. Thank you, Tyro. Thank you, MC. And we're going to have to see what the future lays out, but peace out, everybody. Be safe. And then we hit the little thingy to end the thingy.